We have one city councilor that's not yet with us. But I have my reputation for punctuality at stake, so we'll go ahead and begin, and hopefully Councilor Campbell will join us. We do have a quorum, so we can. So, good evening, everybody. I would like to call us to order for the August meeting of Lawrence City Council. We'll begin tonight with an invocation, and since Councilor Campbell is not with us, I'll be glad to stand in there and then lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So, if you would, please stand. Dear Lord and Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering us here tonight. We appreciate the care and grace that you've shown to the city of Lawrence and our state and our nation since we last met. We ask that you would guide us here tonight and give us wisdom and show us a clear path to follow you in all that we do here tonight in leading your people. We ask all these things in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Alrighty. Moving on to the first item on the agenda, we have a public comment period. And we do have one member of the public that is signed up to speak. The always charming and happy Debbie Thorne. Hopefully.
Can you raise that thing down? Top of the ceiling.
Thank y'all for waiting for me to raise up. I'm Debbie Vaughn. I do not live in the city, but I do spend a lot of time here. I volunteer with the museum and Main Street at some times, and I also shop in either the restaurants and support other businesses. My concern tonight is the plans I have seen to remove parking spaces and sidewalks and to install green spaces instead on the square and surrounding area. As someone who's graduated from a cane to a walker to a push wheelchair to an electric wheelchair, I can tell you the difficulty of navigating green spaces. I have fallen, been dumped out of push wheelchairs, and gotten stuck in grassy areas. The solid surface access to the back street park was removed, and now I choose not to go there because of possible problems. According to the plans I've seen in the advertiser, and that's where I get my information, the sidewalks I use from my sister's house on South Harbor Street up to the square could possibly be removed also. Already, older citizens and people with mobility issues have difficulty finding parking close enough to businesses on the square. If 15 or 16 spaces are removed for green space, which would be used for once a week evening concerts, and every now and then festivals, the whole point of the square is missed. The business of the square is business. A local business owner who couldn't be here tonight said she would like me to mention that she is already concerned about her older, less physically able clients who cannot find close enough parking. Removing existing spaces would make it even worse. I'm not asking for all mobility barriers to be removed just for me. I understand that. I don't have to just be able to go wherever I want to all the time. But if a space is designed for accessibility, it is easier and safer for everyone. I'm just asking that things not be changed without finding out the impact it would make on the ones who already have to overcome. I do have one suggestion that I think might help a lot of people too, and that is to ask drivers of the trucks with extended beds and cabs to park in the outside parking lots, because they really stick out far and it's hard to get around them. But I really appreciate y'all taking into consideration the abilities of all citizens before the removal of hard surfaces and parking places on and around the square. And I thank you so much for listening to me about this. And thank you, just please, thank you for considering it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. At this time, we'll move on to proclamations and commendations, and we welcome Jenny Boulware and our own Jonathan Merrick. Jenny Boulware is the state coordinator for Main Street, South Carolina, and she will be presenting some awards.
This is my second trip in, I don't know, 6 days, and there's another journey back here next week. It's always a joy to come back to Lawrence, and tonight I have the privilege of presenting 3 state awards, which is a thrill. Main Street, South Carolina's awards program celebrates exceptional entrepreneurs, organizations, and preservationists in Main Street communities across the state. This awards program consists of categories that embody the Main Street 4-point approach. If you're not familiar with Main Street is dope. We address design, organization, promotion, and economic vitality. Today, the 3 awards I'm presenting are pretty spectacular for this city. So the first is the in promotion category, 2021 Outstanding Special Project for Pride of the Piedmont Mural. This goes to Main Street Lawrence and the City of Lawrence. This award recognizes creative programming in the downtown commercial district. The first new mural to come to Lawrence since 2005, the Pride of the Piedmont mural focuses on what people love about the city: the river, trains, musical heritage, agriculture, outdoor activities, and the historic courthouse. Painted on a newly renovated building adjacent to Lawrence Food Truck Plaza, the postcard-style mural draws its name from a fondly remembered springtime festival that ran for decades in Lawrence. The mural is a regular feature in social media for posts for visitors and residents alike. In fact, I did a selfie here recently. So I present this to the City of Lawrence and Main Street Lawrence. Congratulations on this award.
Thank you.
That's one. Number 2, the second award is in the design category, 2021 Gaines Johns Rehabilitation for the Midtown Painting Building. This award recognizes building owners that positively impact preservation efforts. This project emerged with the Holmes family's long-standing desire to renovate a historic building on the courthouse square. They restored the original integrity and charm of this building and captured a lot of that history, and sparked additional property improvements in the downtown district. In fact, there's another one on the way, maybe a future award here. We want to thank you, Holmes family, for your investment. Barton, you want to come? And I was talking with Jonathan earlier. This is the first time in about 20 years that Lawrence has received this award for a restoration project. So this is pretty complete. Do you want to share?
I'll share just a few words. Last time Barton was here, and I really appreciate him standing in for me with my son. And the last time we did the Grand Ordinance, I was hospital doing a surgery. So I'm so thankful to be here. As you mentioned, this was a Holmes family project, and that is my family, and there's a reason it is possible. It was possible because of you. And I want to say this. Thank you very much.
And this third award, the city was recognized recently at the Municipal Association's annual meeting. You guys received the top award for this particular project. So this is in the organization category, and this indicates great partnerships that allowed for a project to happen. So this is recognizing outstanding service in 2021. This is the Excellence on Main Street Award. This award recognizes outstanding people that reflect an attitude of perseverance and dedication to community revitalization. This is for the park project, the Back Street Park. This park's creation involved numerous groups and supporters. It celebrates Back Street, a part of downtown once filled with Black-owned businesses. It features all of the elements of creative place, creative space. You have the swinging benches, seating, landscaping, a restored historic fountain that has great history and connections to the square. And there's more to come. Thank you, Main Street Lawrence and the City of Lawrence, for your continued creativity and investment in downtown. Congratulations for receiving this award.
I'll just say thank you to Main Street, South Carolina, and the Municipal Association for all that you do. And it is a pleasure to work together with our Main Street program here. I know all of us enjoy taking the stage and Hilton Head and showing the pride that we feel in our own community and sharing that with the rest of the state. But as you said, we only get there by working together. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. She was a part of us one time.
All righty. At this time, I'd like to move on to the next item on our agenda, which is reports and communications. First, we'll hear from Parks and Recreation Director Jason Pritchett.
Thank you, Mayor. It's an honor to be able to share with you again. I think I was here a few months ago. It's great to be able to keep everybody up to date on what we have going on. And so we want to start just reflecting a little bit back to July 3rd. What a great success we had here moving to the square. Just unbelievable amount of people here, unbelievable amount of people from out of town here. And in my opinion, we have set the stepping stones to just continue to keep building on that event. It was just on our end when we were planning it was just a huge thing for us. We used to have it down at the amphitheater, but it seemed more Lawrencey to have it up here on the square. And so we're excited about where that's going to be going. Just an update on Little League. We had a great Little League season. Teams were down just a little bit, but we did have 2 All-Star teams qualify for the state tournament. If you weren't aware, we hosted the 11 and 12-year-old state championship here, where the winner of that went on and played on ESPN last week. So it was an honor to be able to host the Little League State Championship here in Lawrence again. We're getting ready to start our football season. We just finished registrations a couple weeks ago. Our teams have been practicing, and our first game is the end of August. And so we're excited about that. Last year we were able to host football, but actually we grew a team from where we were the previous year in 19. We grew a team. So it's a step in the right direction as far as growing that program again. Fall baseball will begin in September, the day after Labor Day. Our registrations are ongoing now. And so we look forward to another great fall baseball season. And we're also going to be working volleyball in the fall instead of in the spring. So volleyball registrations will be going soon and be taking place in October and early November. And the last thing I want to report to you is our Boo in the Park, because I may not be here again. Boo in the Park this year is going to be on Thursday, October the 28th. And we'll do that again at City Park. Last year, it was just great to have it at City Park. It just flowed so well. And so Thursday, October the 28th, will be 11 o'clock. So that's what I have right now. And I'm open for questions if anybody has anything. But if not, I appreciate you giving me 16 years here to serve under you and serve the people of our community. And I look forward to many more.
Thank you.
Thank you,
It's
Jason.
been 16 years, but
16. All righty. We do have 2 city councilors that have requested to address the rest of council. First, we have Councilor Campbell.
Good evening. First of all, I want to say that District 3 continues to be excited about the Neighborhood Watch program that we are joining in with the entire city to develop. We're meeting with our captains on this August the 24th, which is a Tuesday, at 7 o'clock at the Lucas Avenue Baptist Church. So we're excited about that. And also happy to report that a few members of the community have come to me, and in the excitement, piggybacking on what Councilor Sullivan had prompted for us concerning Juneteenth, a few people have asked me to ask council if we wouldn't consider having some sort of formal recognition of Juneteenth in the future. So that's something that I said that I would bring before the council. And thirdly, I've received several calls concerning an issue that I brought before the council and the mayor on April the 14th. And I brought it to our attention per Attorney Gary Williams' request. He asked me to read a proposal that he had wanting to magnify in some ways what we're doing to recognize some of the African American businesses that were the founding or pillars of this community back in the backstreet days. And so in the spirit of continuing to bring forth unity in the community, I want to bring it before council again and make some suggestions so that voices are being heard and respected. I want to suggest that we consider formalizing maybe a committee that will come together and come up with some creative ideas of how we can recognize the persons that were mentioned in Attorney Williams' proposal. That's one suggestion. And as we continue to grow Lawrence, maybe we can name some of the new facilities or programs after these persons, or just open it up to creative ideas. So that's what I wanted to present tonight. So I know that some people are anxiously awaiting to hear what we're thinking.
Thank you, Councilor Campbell. And I'll be glad to respond to those a couple of points you raised in my comments. Councilor Lattimore.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. You have some information under your other sheet. This is concerning when we receive our funds. So just some ideas of what we can do, because I wouldn't know where to start or what to think of what to do. And this will give us some kind of idea, because I spoke with the administrator, and he said if we use this money on the wrong thing, we'll have to pay it back. So we want to get the right thing to use it on, so it be used correctly. And these are just some fact sheets and aids of what the cities and towns can expect to do. If you read this, it will give you an idea, because that's what I found. It will give you an idea of how to use the money and what to use it for. And that's all I was presenting tonight. But this is for our keep, whenever we get the money, we will have an idea, something already planned for it, because it's just a certain time for use it. So we got to use the money. When we get it, we got to make some plans for it now, so we'll know what to do with it when we do get it.
Thank you, Councilor Lattimore. Appreciate that resource. And I'll just say, as I move to my remarks, I thank everybody for the sort of kind and cooperative attitude we've brought to these discussions on all of the topics that you raised. So let me begin by addressing the points that you raised, Ms. Campbell, and that you raised, Ms. Lattimore. Just as time would have it, when we were having the discussion this past year, in June, because our council meeting was literally days before Juneteenth was recognized this year. It was a sort of date on the calendar, but not one that was officially recognized either by the state of South Carolina or the federal government. Due to the bipartisan action in Congress and the president's signature, that is now a federal holiday. So I can guarantee you that there will be an official recognition in the city of Lawrence, because there must be, because it is now a duly recognized federal holiday. And I am very open and indeed anxious to engage in a conversation about what we can do to appropriately celebrate that as we look forward to June of 2022. As it regards the renaming of roads and some of the suggestions that were raised this past year, that did not fall on deaf ears. We've tried to do our homework in the interim. There's difficulty in renaming roads, particularly when you're dealing with highways. I believe one of the major suggestions was to rename South Harbor Street Extension, which is a bypass, I suppose would be the best way of putting it, off of 221 for Mr. and Mrs. C.D. Beasley. While a portion of that lies in the city, the greater portion of that actually lies in the county, and it is a U.S. highway. And so we don't have the authority as Lawrence City Council to rename that street. With that said, we've reached out to our legislative delegation, and it's my understanding that Senator Burden is working to name that a memorial highway, and we're hoping to be able to have that completed by the end of the year. So we'll be able to officially recognize them in that way, even though for mapping purposes and addresses that people have for their homes wouldn't have to change. We will have that road officially renamed as Memorial Highway. And I'm happy to continue the discussion about other ways. I appreciate the input to try to do it in a collaborative way. And making sure everybody's heard and having those voices at the table is the right idea. As far as ARP funds, Ms. Lattimore, I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. You may have read in the Advertiser and other media outlets about our efforts to spur Governor McMaster to take action to request the funds from the federal government that we are entitled to under legislation that was passed by Congress back in March. When I last checked, we were one of 7 states in the entire nation that had yet to request those funds. And because the state has yet to request its funds, local municipalities, 254 local municipalities have sort of had our funds held hostage. So we we as leaders of those 254 smaller municipalities, everything that's smaller than 50,000 people, which is everything other than 17 larger cities in the state, have a voice that should be heard. And I am doing my best to make sure that the city of Lawrence joins with others and make sure that we are not treated differently than the larger cities in our state. And that people understand that this delay is costing us money, because every moment that money is not sitting in an interest-bearing checking or interest-bearing account, we are failing to generate income. And every second that we aren't able to line up projects and bid out contracts because we don't have the money in hand means that somebody else who does is. And our buying power is reduced. So I hope that our administration will move forward with their responsibilities to request those funds. Now, when it comes to actually spending them, I hope that we approach that in a collaborative way too. And so we'll be working to schedule a workshop so that we can discuss that and establish priorities and look at the best way to be able to spend those funds. So stay tuned for that. I do have a quick announcement that I'll make to all of y'all that I began speaking about yesterday. I was invited to the celebration of the historic Rosemont land expansion and a celebration of Anne Pamela Cunningham's 205th birthday, which was held yesterday at the Lawrence County Museum. They celebrated not only Anne Pamela Cunningham's birthday, but the acquisition with the help of the South Carolina Conservation Bank of 130 acres of her original home site. The home itself burned in 1931, but the site has been established or secured, and there's a conservation easement that'll make sure that that site doesn't get developed, that history is preserved for all posterity. For those of you who may not be as familiar with Anne Pamela Cunningham, you did not take Miss Marilyn Buchanan's third grade South Carolina history class. But I'm very proud to say that's when I was introduced to her, and I have appreciated that I'm from Lawrence and that she's from Lawrence, and we have the identity of being associated with this amazing woman who suffered from depression and disability and had to be carted around everywhere she went. And yet, if you hear loud noises, we'll go to the basement. And yet sort of shamed her, the male leaders of the day, for letting George Washington's Mount Vernon fall into terrible disrepair. Mount Vernon was at dire risk of being lost, and Miss Cunningham stepped in and asked women, initially from all over the South, but then through the Mount Vernon Ladies Association, through the North, to contribute funds to save Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon Ladies Association would not exist but for this Lawrence County native. And it is safe to say that the reason that Mount Vernon still stands today is because of her. And I've sort of seen it as Lawrence County's gift to our nation. So in that spirit, I was asked to welcome everybody yesterday to the city of Lawrence. And I said, we're going to have our council meeting tonight, but given the nature of what I was going to announce and the association with Ann Pamela Cunningham, I sort of broke the news to them. But we've been working for some time on a plan to not only enforce codes, but to incentivize historic preservation. And following the mold of the Carolopoulos Award, which is awarded by the City of Charleston for historic preservation, I would like for us to award the Ann Pamela Cunningham Historic Preservation Award beginning next year. And this will be a medallion that would be awarded to the restorer of historic properties, paid for with the proceeds of code enforcement. And that medallion would signify excellence in historic preservation. The quote I shared with the folks yesterday, I'll share with you. The first register of, the first keeper of the National Register of Historic Places was a fellow named William Murtaugh. And he said that it has been said that at its best, preservation engages the past in a conversation with the present over a mutual concern for the future. And I don't know how to put it any better. Preserving our history isn't always glorifying it, but engaging in that conversation is important so that we learn from our history and we emulate the good things that should be emulated and we avoid the mistakes that should be avoided. But I hope that this will be a new award that folks will seek after, and Lawrence will be known as a community which values historic preservation. That is all the reporting I have to do, other than we continue to engage in conversations about all sorts of new growth and development, and making sure we do that responsibly and carefully. And we'll continue to do that. Having completed our reports, we'll move on to council business and the approval of the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
So moved. Approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion and I believe a couple seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the consent agenda as printed indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Consent agenda items are approved. Moving on to old business, we have Mr. Thompson, who will be presenting second reading of Ordinance 7-21-01.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Last month, we had a first reading, obviously. Properties involved are the existing Dominant Motor Company, which is located just behind the square, and it overlooks that grassy knoll behind the Palmetto Bank area, or United Community Bank area, owned by Mr. Dominic. And the other parcel involved is owned by the city. It is a lot just on the other side of Aldi as you travel west on Exchange Drive. This arrangement came about by mutual agreement, by the parties getting together and hammering out a solution. It's my understanding that both city and the Dominic family are happy with this arrangement. Once you approve this ordinance by second reading, then after that, two deeds will have to be prepared, one from the Dominics to the city, and one from the city to the Dominics, and that will be done concurrently. And then the city will, of course, own this piece of property back here, and the Dominics will have their business moved out on Exchange Drive.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Since we have to convey property by law, we have to do it by ordinance. So we would need a motion for a second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Didn't mean to cut you off there. Alrighty. Do I hear a motion for approval of ordinance 7-2101 on second reading?
So move to accept the ordinance.
We have a motion from Ms. Miller and a second from Ms. Lattimore. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approval of second reading of ordinance 7-2101, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. And the measure is approved unanimously. At this point, it is my pleasure to announce that the City of Lawrence, which is the recipient of certain funds from the capital project sales tax, which passed in November, which are specifically designated for a splash pad, will be able to move forward with plans to construct a splash pad in that area, much to the delight of children in our community. So, thank you very much, City Council. All right. That's one of those things that you hear people have been wanting for some time. I hope we all feel good about being able to say mission accomplished on that. All right. Then that is the only issue, item of old business that we have. The only new business we have before us is the election of a commissioner to CPW to replace the late Brenda Curry. Requesting an election from council for that position is John Young, General Manager of the CPW. John?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. I appreciate your time this afternoon. I'll make this brief. As you said, we lost a dear friend, a great commissioner, in Brenda Curry. I'm sure probably most of y'all have done it very well, and we missed her terribly. But unfortunately, business must go on. So, I'm here tonight to express the will of our commissioner, Mr. Cunningham, is here to represent the other remaining commissioners, and they have met and they were unanimously selected or would like to nominate Ms. Tamika Craig to fill her shoes. We've got a number of very urgent issues before our commissioners, and we feel like that waiting until September is probably too long, considering the things that we've got to do. So we would humbly request that you guys appoint her to fill in. It's about a year and a half left that Brenda had on her term, and we welcome the commission to appoint Ms. Tamika to represent that district until the next election.
Thank you, Mr. Young. We have a request from CPW. Since they are not a part of city government, though, we would ask for a motion to approve the recommendation made by the commissioners.
I make a motion We approve their recommendation.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. Is there a second?
That's it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Ms. Lattimore?
Yes. Oh, excuse me. I know that, you have a time period for this. Everybody have urgent business. And, since it was our duty to do this, give us a chance to do it. Even though we don't have to wait till next month. You brought someone before us. I know she's a capable person of doing it. I have nothing, I don't know her, and I have nothing against no one. But before you give us a cut and dry letter, give us a chance to do it. And we'll get back to you shortly. We can have a call meeting and get back with you. We can discuss it and get back with you. I understand your urgency, because deaf don't have no appointments for anybody. So that's my objection.
Thank you, Ms. Lattimore. Mr. Young, my understanding is that the recommendation of the CPW was unanimous, correct? Were there any other names brought forth to the attention of CPW that were considered?
We did discuss several other folks. Mika has the knowledge and experience. We just felt like she was strong enough to fill in such a short portion of that. So, only a year and a half left on Bridget's term to job. Obviously, the third would have to run for a year and a half. If she was already took that position, so we felt like just a year and a half. We've got a very serious airport issue with two of our neighboring utilities that we're dealing with. We've got a large industrial prospect that I met with yesterday. The commissioners have to make some pretty quick decisions on. We just feel like the folks in that district need to be represented as we deliberate and discuss those particular issues. But what I would say is that
May I say something? I agree with what Ms. Latimer said. However, when I heard of the vacancy, I went and got a map, and I received the wrong map. That I got it from over there, but I showed it to Mr. Young just now, and I had shown it to Gary Friday and Thursday, really. And I understand we as council members actually didn't know her area to even recommend anybody to you all. So that's why I agree with what Ms. Latimer said. But in the past, because tradition can be broken, we always accept the commission recommendation. I don't know, have nothing against you, Ms. Craig. So please understand that. But speaking from what we supposed to do as council members, she is absolutely correct.
Can I say something? I know Miss Creed. I worked with Miss Curry in the past as well, and I see Miss Creed all the time. We work together for back school drive, and I see how great she do with managing her property. So I don't have any doubts that she couldn't deliver. But I just want to make that statement for her.
I have a suggestion also. When it is council's responsibility to make appointments for different agencies, my suggestion is that we would have a call meeting immediately so that there's no confusion, or we're given a chance to find out what area we need to look in, and then B, have the opportunity to make suggestions. And again, Ms. Craig, this is not personal. I don't know you. I'm sure you're quite capable, but
Well,
That's my suggestion based on what Ms. Lattimore has said.
um,
Is it getting close? Must be here.
I apologize, everybody. Looking out the window here, we we got some wind, but it doesn't appear to be imminent. If things pick up a little bit, and looking at the radar, I think we're safe. So if everybody is comfortable, I believe we can press forward.
I think we have a place over here.
You know, as mayor, I thought I'd had just about everything come across my desk with the pandemic, but we haven't dealt with a tornado yet, so let's pray that doesn't happen. If I may just sort of offer a couple points, I would ask council to step in the shoes of CPW. Yes, it is technically our legal responsibility to make an appointment to the commission as the legal mechanism so that position can be filled, so that position is not vacant until a special election or something like that is held. But ultimately, the question before us is who is going to sit and represent the people of that particular district on the CPW commission. And I can't imagine, with all due respect to the commissioners, if the commissioners were in the position of having to decide who sat on city council. I think if the CPW commissioners are unanimous in making a recommendation, I have a hard time supporting the idea that we would second guess them and tell them who they have to work with over and against the person whom they have unanimously recommended to us. I understand your concerns, but Ms. Lattimore, I believe you indicated there wasn't any question about her ability to perform tasks of the job. I would just humbly submit that if the counselors have commissioners have in their unanimous judgment determined this is the individual that they want to work with, I don't want to take our ministerial role out of context and disrespect that recommendation. Of course, I am one vote among 7. But I also, if there was a split recommendation coming from the commissioners, that'd be one thing. I have grave concern about using our ministerial role to override their will and tell them who they have to work with. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah.
Yes,
Well, if we ever decide to have a discussion, I think could be that they could come to the council and say, do y'all know of someone in that area, and if they don't get but 1 or 2 names, I don't know Miss Craig either, I don't know anything about her, but I mean, I just know this was the past, and that don't mean there could be some discussion.
My understanding is that our role in this is established by state statute. So it's not one we can just up and choose to amend. It's the reason we have any say in this at all, because that's what state law mandates that we do. And with respect to your comments, Mr. Bull, it sounds to me, and I can say from my discussions with John privately, that there were other candidates that were discussed, and perhaps they didn't live in the district. That vetting process has been done. It just was done on the commission side before the recommendation was made to city council.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's wrong, I just throw out information for information purposes.
Right.
That's it.
Sure.
Right.
That's the purpose of having a discussion, I think.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's what I was saying.
Next-
And I don't think any of us saying that it's wrong, but it was just a duty as to what we're supposed to do. And like I say, in the past, we have always accepted that recommendation because we have had situations like this before. So I have no problems with it. But knowing the district was my concern, and we did not, I didn't know because my lines overlap her lines. It's possible. We're not going to get into that because we soon will be getting into that. So, but we have no problem whatsoever, but just be inclusive the next time. That's all. That's all we ask.
Well, is there any further discussion on that point? We do have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation, the unanimous recommendation of the commissioners. If there's no further discussion, I will call the question. All those in favor of approval of an election of Ms. Tamika Craig to fill the unfinished term of the late Brenda Curry as Commissioner of CPW District 1, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. That was it 2 or 1? Just for the
2 or
record.
1. What district is it? 2 or 1?
2. Sorry. All right.
What area?
I apologize.
You okay?
All right. I believe, I hate to do this, but because I misstated it, let's do it correctly. All those in favor of approval of the commission's recommendation and election of Tamika Craig to serve the remainder of Brenda Curry's term as Commissioner for CPW District 2, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The measure passes. Congratulations, Ms. Craig. One of the points of pride we have around here is the strong working relationship that exists between CPW and the city, and look forward to working with you. Alrighty. That was the last item of new business. We have no announcements other than hopefully the weather won't get any worse. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
Second.
Without objection, we are adjourned.